and welcome back to my channel. If you're seeing my face for the very first time, my name is Abby and this is Shuttle, where we talk about immigration, study abroad, work abroad, and everything travel, okay? If you like this type of content, feel free to hit the subscribe button below, turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I put up a new video. And with all that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, in today's video, I have a guest, and all the way from New Zealand, we have Tembie, who is here to give us the new, juicy details about New Zealand and how she moved from England all the way to New Zealand. So, Tembie, you're welcome to Mary Shuttle.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Wow. All right, so before we delve into all those questions that we always have, Tembie, please just give us a brief intro about yourself.
Hi, my name is Tembie, and I also have a channel called The Shackles of Debt. And the way that that all ended up together is the fact that I was like a finance sort of YouTuber person, and then I moved to New Zealand last year, and then now I'm sort of talking about money, but then I also talk about my life in New Zealand. So like I said, I moved to New Zealand in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. I'm a nurse, and yeah, I'm just like traveling and exploring and just enjoying, really.
Wow. So guys, if you're interested in New Zealand, like hop onto her channel. She has loads of stuff there. I'm going to leave the link in the description and then also the name across the screen. So let's get into the video. My first question.
Hey.
How did you move to New Zealand?
New Zealand. I moved to New Zealand mainly because of my job, and like I said, I'm a nurse, and I found a New Zealand posting when I was still living in England. I applied for the job and I luckily got the job, and my employer actually helped me to move from England to New Zealand, and this was like back in the pandemic last year, and because I had such a shortage of nurses, they really supported me in moving.
What was the visa process like? What type of visa were you on? And then just give us a process how that went.
Yeah, so the visa process was actually quite simple for me anyway. And again, this is all because I'm a nurse. This is not the case for everyone else, I must say. Like, it's only sort of if you've got like a specialist qualification, or if you have a job that's on the shortage list, or if you work in like healthcare. So the visa that I came in with, it was actually a special COVID visa called the critical purpose visa. And what that visa is that it was an entry visa. So all it did was grant me entry into New Zealand, and it was only granted because I had this specialist job in a profession that they desperately needed during the pandemic. So in order to apply for the visa, I had to basically show the New Zealand immigration authorities that A, I'd received a job contract, which I had, and B, I think, what else did I need? I had to show like my professional nursing registration to them to show that I am eligible. Yes, I had to register to work as a nurse, and then I had to prove that I'm registered to work and I've got a job contract with the New Zealand to the New Zealand immigration people. So that process didn't even take long. So I applied, and then I also had to do like a police check as well. And if you want to stay longer than 6 months, then you need to do a medical. And also, so the medical is where basically you go and have a medical test, and they do a blood test, they do a physical, they do everything. So it was the contract, the police check, the medical. So once you submit all of that, it took them 7 days to get back to me, and they granted me, it was a 1-year visa. it was a 1-year visa, and I think I had 9 months from the point of the visa being granted for me to actually enter New Zealand. So yeah, it was a 1-year temporary visa. And then once I arrived, I had to apply for a different visa. So this one, the visa that I'm currently on is called a essential skills work visa. And that's a 3-year visa. And basically the criteria for a essential skills visa is that you have to be earning a certain amount of money. I think it's like $27 an hour or something like that. And you need to be in like a recognized profession, and you have to have entered with a temporary visa. And then I've also now applied for my New Zealand residency because as soon as I got here, the government announced it's called the 2021 residency visa. So there was like a big sort of criteria for, you know, for people that for how you could have applied, or you know, the eligibility to apply. And you can have a look on the New Zealand immigration website for all of that criteria. But basically I fit that criteria because I had entered on a critical purpose visa, and also I was working in a profession which is on the scarce list, and also I was earning at least $27 an hour. So I was eligible to apply for residency. So I applied for residency back in March, and I'm still waiting to hear back from them. It's been like 4 months, but they said it can take anything up to a year for them to respond.
Wow.
So, you know, so we wait.
Yeah.
This is the overview of
the good thing is you're already in New Zealand. So
yeah,
it's just the benefits that you have to wait for.
Yes.
So the visa you came with, has it been scrapped, or is it still functional?
Yeah, at the moment, I think it's still on. I'm not sure how much longer it's still going to continue. I think it's going to go on for the duration of the COVID process, but I'm really not sure sort of what's happening now. But I am part of the Moving to New Zealand Facebook group, and I still see people coming in on critical purpose visas. So I don't know how long that's going to be lasting for.
Okay, yeah, they can wake up anytime and change it.
Oh, that's the thing with immigration, they change it so often.
They change it, like you have to keep yourself updated, you know, and then once you get the news, you hop on it and act fast, you know.
Exactly.
How long was this process for you from getting the job, applying for the visa, and arriving in New Zealand?
So the entire process took pretty much, it was, I would say exactly a year, because I think it was exactly a year to the week where I first had my job interview. So it did take quite a long time, but the only reason why it took a long time was because of my nursing registration. If it was just the visa, it would have taken like I said, probably like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, the visa was so quick. It was the visa was the easiest part of the entire process. So it was pretty much, yeah, like a whole year. It took a very long time to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the registration process like for you?
Yeah, so basically I had to convert my UK nursing registration to my New Zealand nursing registration. And the reason why that was so long is because they, in order to verify your identity, your documents, etc., they use like a third-party company which is based in America. So what you had to do, I know, they outsource everything to America. So what and bear in mind, this was all during the pandemic when all of the lockdowns were going on and stuff. So what I had to do was I had to get my university to send my transcripts over to it's called CGFNS. I had to get my university to send my transcripts over. I had to get all of my previous employers to send references directly to them. They don't allow like your university or your employer to send you the reference and for you to forward it. They want to hear it directly from them. So I had to track everyone that I'd ever worked for down. I had to track my university, and it just took so long because we were in lockdowns, and all of these companies were saying, oh, we're not in the office, there's no one in the HR department, everyone is working from home, how can we go in and do all of this paperwork for you? So that just took such a long time. And then once they had all of the documentation they needed, it then took them like another 2 months to then process all of the information. And then from that, I had to do a police check as well for my nursing registration. So I had to do 2 police checks in the end.
Wow.
And then that police check took, you know, like 3 weeks to get back, because again, it's the pandemic, everything is going at like a snail's pace. But eventually I managed to get my entire nursing registration. So from start to finish with just the registration, it was 6 months for me. And I would say it was just mainly caused by delays. And then after the nursing registration, that's when I went straight for the visa. So the visa was very, very quick. I just had to do another police check, but I already had the registration, I already had the job contract. So once I submitted that, I then got my visa pretty quickly. And then the extra 3 months was because I had to hand in my notice over at work. And because we were still doing quarantine, everyone had to go into quarantine, I then had to book a quarantine slot like 3 months ahead of time. So that's what sort of delayed things. So I guess without the nursing registration, without having to quarantine, I guess I could have been here in a week. Like it would have been that quick.
That fast.
It was just, everything else was just so long.
Wow. Wow. Oh, pandemic.
Oh my God.
Wow.